Hello, I'm AGXToyCat and welcome back to the video. So one of the most common criticisms that I receive in my survival Let's Play world are from people who really do not like some of the things that I built over the years and don't like having to look at it. They say, oh, that's such a terrible build, ToyCat. Why did you build one of those or one of these? Or why is there just a giant stone brick tower here? And honestly, I don't like people who like to criticize other people's builds because Minecraft is a game where you get to decide how you're going to be creative. You can build all sorts of different things next to each other if you want to, because Minecraft is the game where no one can tell you what you can and cannot do. It's a fact, we all know it. However, with that said, I figured some of the, obnoxious builds which aren't quite complete, they honestly annoy me a little bit too, and I figured why not go through and actually improve some of the annoying builds around here that I have to stare at every single day. All of my videos start up here, and I get to look at that lighthouse where some of the glowstone lamps aren't even turned on. You can see how it looks kind of ugly at best, and if you look even closer from the other side, you can see how I only finished it from one side because I just assumed I'd never looked at it from this angle. What a terrible, unfinished, needs to be fixed and reworked build, and yeah, we have a bunch of other examples of just builds I want to rework and redo at least a little bit, and we also have an example of a build which has got some copyright/legal issues that maybe we can explain in the future, and we're going to be fixing that today as well. So yeah, let's fix some legal issues, let's fix some annoyance issues, and let's just in general fix some Minecraft builds. So the first thing we're going to fix is going to be the lighthouse, because as you can see, the lighthouse is meant to be our guiding light through storms and through darkness and storms when they combine together, like they are at this very minute. We need to have a lighthouse full of that. However, before we can even get started on that, we have some wool, we have some redstone, we have some stuff. You notice how getting to the lighthouse is almost impossible. In fact, if you look at the lighthouse, it's balanced really weirdly on a mountain, which is just so ugly. There's no proper way up there. There's not even really a proper mountain there. So I figured let's actually fix the area around the lighthouse, because this mountain, this area, even the Lost entrance is just all so ugly. So I think the best way to actually manage, the pathway to the lighthouse is to start from right over here. If you don't know, right here, my pathway branches. We go up here and then we go to a secret Lost Woods, which I don't reveal in videos, and it's kind of one of these just like secret things that exists in the world. So I figured why not put that behind some iron doors, since you're not meant to see it unless you do something anyway. Again, we'll deal with what I mean by all of that later, but we'll have some secret doors over here, and then we'll have the actual branch pathway go over here onto this kind of dirtish road. It's not actually gonna be made from dirt. It's gonna be made from, some wood, which we have lying around, and we're going to kind of have it just go up like this and be one of these natural-ish pathways that just walks along the waterway just a little bit like this. But the reason for it being such a curved, such a non-fixed road is because that's basically how every transport system in the world works. You have very straight, very efficient, lines for where most people go for, the biggest routes in the world. Think about, I don't know, the busiest train line in your country or whatever. And then when you've got a route that literally 6 people a day might take or something, then you don't need to be so efficient, so whatever, because it is for so few people. And in the same way, this is a pathway we're going to be using so infrequently, it doesn't need to be straight, it doesn't need to be official, it just needs to be a thing that exists and show, oh, here is a thing you can follow to get up there. And hopefully it also defines the water line a little bit more. Okay, so apparently it took an entire Minecraft day to even get this kind of rough draft-ish thing done, but you can now see how we've got ourselves a little winding pathway that goes up and down the mountain, because again, in real life, scaling mountains, especially for tiny pathways, is really hard. So instead what we do is we have this kind of subtle goes up, then it goes down, then it goes around, and then we end up inside the lighthouse, or on the level of the lighthouse. But yeah, after seeing all of this, you can see here is the top of it, and again, we're missing some very key details. There are so many things here that could have just been done easy, like, oh, so let's just put, say, a repeater down here instead. So look at this, we put one repeater down, and all of a sudden, we've lit up the last two. Isn't that cool? Like, oh, look at this one in the corner over here. Why don't we just put a piece of wood, or even one of these slabs, and then a piece of redstone there, and look at this, guess what? I've now lit that one too. Oh, I can see why I didn't do that now, apparently. Okay, just like this, as you can see, as long as we effectively, I can see why it's actually tricky to properly do this, but we have, for the most part, ignoring this, which we'll use a repeater for, we've basically solved the issue this easily. Look how easy and nicely all of this. Okay, we went to the Nether, we got the last of the redstone lanterns, so here we can now hook them up, and now all of them are turned on from the outside, except these two right here. But I mean, do these two even do we even need these two? That's a solution, isn't it? Oh, here's my plan. If I place a block up here, then we can stop that connecting. Hey, look, we solved it. I don't know why redstone, is this a bug, or is this actually how it's powered on? I don't think so. But we broke something a little bit here. But let's finish the glass first of all, because as you can see, now for the first time in a very long time, we can actually have this look like it's a lighthouse somewhat. So yeah, now we can use one of the more fun, recent-ish blocks. I know 1.12 isn't really recent anymore, but it's recent-ish to me. We can use a new, invention to make an old build a little bit better. And this is something I encourage you to do. If you have a world, you're in a lot, and you like the nostalgia, but also you don't quite like something, using a new block is a great way to justify, coming back in and adding new things to it, because, again, it's not something you get to do every day. Hey, look at that. We've done it. We've made ourselves a lighthouse. Except just to go a little bit further, let's just have a couple blocks up here, like a little bit of a spire almost, and now we can finish it correctly. Look at that. We have made ourselves a lighthouse. Let's look at it from a safe distance. Actually, let's look at it from my house, because that's where I see it for most of the time, after the water fades, and probably destroys a lot of torches, actually. Yeah, I don't know how I created such a problem. I think maybe I'm wrong, but that water's not fading anymore. Oh, okay, Bedrock is strange sometimes. I don't fully understand it. But let's go back. Let's give it a peek. Oh yeah, that you can see there are a lot of things going. Oh, it's the simulation distance. The water doesn't fade away when you're... whatever. Okay, continue doing your thing, game. But yeah, if you look closely, you can see we've got a lighthouse that, in my opinion, looks like a real lighthouse. Hey, I did it. I don't know how this makes any sense. I don't think it does. But it's good enough for me. We lit them all up. The nights... Oh, besides this one, apparently. Oh, no. It's happening all over again. Another 20 minutes of insanity. Okay, the lighthouse is fully lit. As you can see, we did it. It took... This literally was an hour just from starting this video to finishing that lighthouse. I wasn't expecting that. Wow, look over here. You can see how I've made some real improvements to the mountain, and I've improved the way you go there. You're no longer led into the lost woods. Instead, you go to the right a little bit, and wow, what's this? When you go to the right, you end up at a mountain. And when you start going up the mountain, it takes you up there briefly, like in a way that's really easy, but still you're elevating. You go back and forth a couple of times. Look what a cool road this is, and it leads you right to the lighthouse. So say if you were going to the lighthouse because maybe you had a plan of installing a lever so you could turn it on and off because you're a lighthouse keeper, and some days of the year you're going to turn off the lights. So I don't know what the reasons would be, but we can replace this button here with one of these, and we can turn off the thing on and off if we want to, which is, I think it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's a thing we can add to. I'm going to leave it on 99.99% of the time, but something that is a first are some legal issues that I might have run into with my Minecraft world. So you know how I've been trying to put the Let's Play world up for download for a little bit of time now. There's a lot of legal formalities I have to jump to do that, and one of them, which I can't exactly clarify why or what it is to do with this giant church I have right here. It's not a particularly attractive church anyway, if we're being honest. Like, if you look inside this thing, it's like, yeah, this was designed a long time ago. There's no real point to it, and honestly, I don't like religious imagery in Minecraft anyway. I've seen way too many weird things, to think this was a good idea. And yeah, if I wouldn't rebuild this today, it is a key part of the world in some way though, so I don't want to destroy it entirely. I don't want to destroy the church. By the way, in case you're curious, it's a church to the Wither, nothing else. I definitely didn't go through some controversy because I made a joke about building a church to Satan. That's not a thing that I made in Minecraft, and you can't prove that I did. It's an upside down cross to symbolize the Wither, as we all do know. So with that said, we're now going to go ahead and do something a little bit extreme, and we're going to remove any form of like religious connections to this. It's going to be my Wither fighting room still. If you don't know, below the Church of the Wither, I have my chest filled with armor, filled with obsidian, filled with various things like that, and then I have a giant room, which is where I usually fight the Wither. Although the Wither got a lot more powerful after the switch to Bedrock, and things have been a little bit wrecked down here, but this is where I usually try and fight the Wither if I can. I make a room full of obsidian or cobblestone at the very least, and yeah, basically because of this area, I want to change it from being a church, which is never used as a church anyway, to make it like a Wither preparation area. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to remove all of the seats, because I mean, they're just looking at jack-o'-lanterns right now anyway, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to make it a plus shape. Oh, there's a hole in the floor below this seat. So yeah, we're just going to tear giant holes into the church. We're going to destroy all of this front bit, because right now it's, again, for legal reasons that I legally cannot mention exactly what it is, this world is not available to download in a bunch of different, regions, areas, etc. If I have this giant build here, and I didn't like the giant build anyway, I was always disapproving of it, and I figured again, rather than just like, removing it in the background, I think I'd let you know that this is an improvement I want to make. It's something I'm doing because I want to anyway, and I'm just using it as a fun opportunity. So yeah, let's destroy this entire church to the Wither By the way, as we're going through and we're shortening this significantly and, making it a real thing that actually looks good, I should quickly mention, just in case you're curious, maybe you want to download this world. It's something a lot of people have asked for, like, oh, Toycat, we'd love to download your world. And although I release it, every like 100 or 200 episodes or so for, Bedrock platforms, if you want to download the platform and you're on Xbox, you can't download worlds just now, or if you're on Switch. And this is why I wanted to release it on the Microsoft Store, so then anyone can download it. There'll be like some small, Microsoft coin attached thing, like mine coins, as a way to support the channel, because a lot of people said they'd love to do that. And yeah, it's something that's going to be happening within the next couple months or so. So keep your eye out on the marketplace for your boy Toycat, hopefully. It's a thing that's getting pretty close to completion now, which is why issues like this one might, again, it's not related to that. I cannot legally say or imply, but I can tell you that it's getting closer, and that maybe there is an issue in the process, and maybe this issue is being fixed right now. Maybe it's not, maybe it's not. By the way, controversial opinion here, but I'm very big on, like, you should be able to practice any religion you want, that doesn't harm anyone besides yourself, because you should have the freedom to do most things, right? But I think one of the things I've always found uncomfortable, one of the reasons I agree with this rather than saying, nah, I'm gonna, take some stance against it, is because honestly, I don't think you should ever be we should never be forcing religion on children, right? And imagine, like, you might think like, oh no, but, my children want to hear about this or that. Your children don't want to hear about the Church of Satan or the Wither, or, like, insert religion that's not yours here, Like, I kind of like the idea that, like, children can make informed decisions for themselves when they become not children. Let children be your children, and then let them work out all that other stuff later. It's always been my personal impression. Since destroying all those benches and a little bit of the church itself, the Wither building itself, has led us to get so many extra stairs, I figured why not use them on the roof to get like this extra little bit of an effect going, because everyone loves using stairs, excessively in Minecraft. It's a well-known fact. And yeah, actually, I feel like it actually fits the theme of what we're doing here. Like, let's change the general shape a little bit, keep the overall feel of it. You'll all know what you're seeing when you look at this, but also we won't be breaking we won't. I mean, not that we were breaking rules to begin with. That's just to be clear, that never happened, or legally speaking. So we are pretty much finished here. After I placed the last few of these stairs, we have now entirely finished our Wither building, which is what it is, what we all know it is. So after these last changes, just right here, we have now finished a couple of last minute changes to the building. Just in case you're curious as to exactly what they are, I decided to, 1, make the outline a bit different up here, have these little corner blocks. 2, I decided to have a second layer of stairs, so you can see it makes this big plus shape on top that's a lot, again, it's indented in a way that I think is really cool. And then also on the outside, I've moved the stairs 1 block back so that you can see that it goes over the edge a little bit. I think it looks a bit more natural, and I mean, if you're thinking realism, then I guess the water would flow off the top, and that's important on a church maybe, or on a Wither building, definitely, because as you can see, we've placed our Withers down, and we did a clever glowstone trick behind them, so it looks like the Withers are the ominous glowing thing. Like, seriously, we remove these torches, those things will still glow, and I love that. I think there's a really cool effect in there that we're definitely going to keep. So yeah, it looks a little bit like Super Mario 64, but that's cool in my opinion, and we've now, redesigned this building, so it's just the Wither staging ground, and I really like that personally. I think we've turned it from a thing that was really weird that I left alone and never went inside, to something that I actually kind of like having right over there. So now that we have finished remodeling our Wither staging ground, again, I really like the new model a little bit more. I think it much better fits the environment that it's in, and maybe we could have it look like a proper Wither later, like do something with Wither skulls and that. But yeah, basically, now we've finished that, it looks much better. That's our 3rd project done, but what about the 4th thing we're going to improve today? Well, I figured, because we got so much nether brick anyway, something I've been meaning to fix forever now is this build right here. You can see how literally the best bit about this build is, you can see even looking at it, they're like, yeah, this was something I made, and then midway through building it, I realized I didn't build it quite big enough, and then I just left it that way forever. And given that we have so much nether brick now, I figured why not at least try and fix this a little bit. So that's what we'll be doing today. We're going to make it so, for instance, glass doesn't allow you to see under here. We're going to just remove this glass straight up, and we're going to make the whole build look at least a little bit better. So the first move was splitting it up into 3 separate sections, one off, 7 blocks wide, 4 blocks high, 7 blocks wide, 3 blocks high, and then 7 blocks wide, 2 blocks high. And this is actually also going to cover the entire way out. This means that the glass only shows you the part of it which is actually, worth showing off. And already you can see like, oh, it looks better now because, you don't have windows going to nowhere. What an improvement. And now we'll do the same on the other side and actually finish this little side up here. By the way, here's another ridiculous example of something where I just have this build that I built over the natural terrain, and it's so ugly down here because of creeper explosions, I assume. And yeah, I'm going to light this up just in case this comes in handy later. So yeah, underneath this build, bit of a wreck, something we can fix now. But yeah, we're mostly going to make it symmetrical now by having the exact same 7 sections where it gets slowly taller and taller. Just a funny little side note here, I noticed a bunch of these weird purple particles and I was like, what is causing that? Do I have an end chest down there? I have an invisible end chest right here. Why is the chest invisible? I don't know. It's a bug I've never run across before. But apparently this ender chest right here either converted wrong or something like that, but it just doesn't exist. So, fun fact at Toycat, I have a secret chest that I really don't want to use in case it breaks all my other ender chests. But it's invisible. How fun. So step 2 is I really want to replace this glass because I feel like, you know, this glass was great at one point when there was one type of glass in Minecraft. This was the type of glass for the job, but I also think, you know, nowadays it'd be cool to have a different type of glass there. Is the best type of glass red? A part of me says so, but we've already done that. So I kind of want to go for some magenta glass, and pro tip right here, although you can craft magenta glass yourself by breaking all the glass and then staining it that way, you know, getting magenta dye might not be easy for you, or maybe you just don't want to go through the effort. So what you might want to do instead is to head over to your end and then find one of these, you know, end gateways. And then, of course, the next step from here is to find your nearest end city. End cities are really useful because, you know, they only come with one type of glass, and you know what type of glass it is? You better believe it's a magenta stained glass, as you can see right over here. So it's a eternal source of free magenta stained glass. How nice is that? Side note, but I've always thought a really fun project would be, you know, destroying the entire one of these things and then maybe rebuilding from scratch in your overworld that way. Just saying, fun little idea, recycling challenge, but using an end city. Give it a try sometime. So now we come back to the overworld, and what we can do is we can replace all of this glass one by one with our nice, you know, newer, shinier magenta stained glass. I guess it's not shinier, it's just, you know, a different color. So yeah, it looks significantly better with the magenta glass. As you can see, it's already significantly improved, and we could probably leave it there, but I want to take things a little bit further than even this. Also, I hate rain. I should mention that every time it comes up. But let's continue working, and let's do a few more changes. So first of all, I've done some patching up and I've made it so the actual shape of this thing is consistent, and you should be able to see that shape from most of the sides. So we'll do a little bit more digging so you can actually properly see that. And then also I'm going to use some stairs just over here to kind of hide the dispensers at all times. Again, it's I could leave them, you know, exposed the whole time, but I think what might be a better idea is if I just have something that looks vaguely, I don't know if artsy is the word, but you know, it looks like it's part of the main structure. It has like a real shape to it. And then this also kind of has that cool, you know, you can see from the outside, or you should be able to, that there's clearly some mechanism going on there, but you can't tell what. Also, there's a missing block in the ceiling. I should probably fix that. Is have this kind of wavy outside. Again, it's a similar thing to the church. We're not going too fancy. We just want to kind of have a little bit of extra depth to the thing, make it look like it's a real thing that's there. It also helps to hide the glass, because I think the glass looks cool on the inside, seeing 2 different colors, but I think from the outside that gets a bit confusing. So by doing this, we kind of cover that up. And then just one last little change is we're also going to actually cover up this part right here, which I currently I'm not doing because I figured like the glass blocks would inhibit my ability to move. So instead what we do is we make the ceiling a little bit higher here. Again, indicates that there's some reason, there's some purpose for all of that, and also should hopefully kind of add to the structure's shape and size. So there we go, some pretty simple fixes that should make everything look a little better. I kind of want to add a whole layer on top of the glass now. As silly as this looks, as silly as having a block above glass directly, I think it should actually do something kind of cool for us. So here we have it. Here's our new Neverwarp farm. Again, it's never going to be the perfect form that everyone likes if you're like, oh, I love perfect building and everyone should tell you what you can and cannot do. However, personally, as someone who does not believe in that, I really like this. It fits the Toycat style, while actually looking a little bit better and being a bit more bearable to look at, and having some cool design quirks that weren't necessarily possible before. Again, adding new blocks and new styles into old builds, fun thing to do. For now, though, we can finally go to sleep before we work on the last thing I want to fix today. Okay, so far in the video, you might have noticed how we've actually been fixing things in a pretty good way. In a way I usually don't do, because I usually like to confuse people, and I usually like to annoy people. And one of the things that I think annoys the most people in my world is the giant torch desert. If you don't know, I had a desert at one point, and now I don't have a desert. Instead, I have a bunch of torches, because I mostly use torches to clear the desert. So I have a very astounding thing to look at right here. I like to make jokes about it, and yeah, a lot of people really hate this, and I'm going to use this as my opportunity to do the thing I usually do today, because here's the deal. My editor's girlfriend was watching one of my, watching one of my videos as he was editing it, and she asked, like, hey, does Toycat know he doesn't need to use that many torches in the desert? And I do know that that's a fact, but I figured just to drive this to the next level of annoyance, because there's a lot of torches in the desert right now, right? But it's not covering every single block. What if we fix this build, which is clearly broken right now, by fixing all of the gaps in here? Because you might notice we've got a lot of gaps that we're gonna have to fill. So what I've done, it's I've never been able to do this because I never have too many sticks and coal at the same time, but I have a bunch of those resources lying around. As you can see, we're gonna make ourselves stack by stack, torch by torch, and we're gonna fill this entire desert. Every single reasonable unfilled block is gonna have a torch on it. It's gonna go from being, mostly torched desert, you can barely even see the gaps, to literally every single block. It's gonna look like the most confusing thing in the world, and I'm doing this solely because of one comment from my editor's girlfriend, but you better believe that's enough to drive me to do a little bit of insanity. Okay, so I've used up pretty much every source of coal that I could find in my world. Then I went out and I've tried to find some more sources of coal that I could find. And yeah, I've spent far too long placing torches. But here's the worst bit. I'm looking at the sea of torches. Maybe you can spot that there are some subtle differences here and there. But despite placing, over 1,000 torches, it's funny. I don't think there is a huge difference between how it was before and how it is now. Maybe it's because there's like maybe 5,000 torches already. Or maybe this is the sort of project where you don't notice the gaps. Like, your brain is, it's just filling in all these little torch gaps. If there was a torch here, if there wasn't, you wouldn't notice regardless from a distance. Maybe that's what that is. But yeah, today I spent far too long working on a desert. I even included it in the Let's Play recently. Maybe I spent far too long on this. And today I realized that, no matter how much effort you put into torches, it all ends up roughly the same, or so it seems at least. So, yeah, with that said, at least we made some positive progress. We've made it so the whole desert is lit up now, not just most of it, and very, very well lit. So that's a positive improvement, I would say. I hope you all enjoyed the video where we went through and fixed the 5 different builds. If you enjoyed seeing these survival style videos, then you can like this one and let me know, because, we do a bunch on the channel, and it's cool that you enjoy the survival, because I always want to do more survival stuff. It's my passion in Minecraft, but, I worry, like, do people really enjoy it, or is this just a weird thing? Let me know what you think about that. Also, if you like this Let's Play world and you want to download it, in roughly a month or two, it'll be available on the Minecraft store. We've gone through the legal issues now, and I believe that means we just have to, wait a couple months for, like the back end stuff to clear, and then it should be available to download. And if you download it, you'll be able to support the channel, myself, and I guess the world itself. Anyway, yeah, that's something you'll be able to do. For now, though, thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and maybe you enjoy all the other ones. If so, you can smash that bell. But for now, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.